Hello everyone, this is ponderonweather. In this update, we're going to be talking about a very active week next week with rounds of severe weather, damaging winds, heavy snow, and some ice. Welcome back everyone. Happy Sunday out there. Go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe if you hadn't subscribed already. I do daily updates on this channel to keep you ahead of the storm. So let's get right to it. Let's take a look at the overall temperatures this morning for your Sunday, February 13th. Man, it's cold out there. Most of you guys, are, if not 80% of the country, is experiencing freezing temperatures this morning with 20s up here in the Pacific Northwest. I mean, that's 36 below up here in Minnesota. But that cold air extends all the way down to the coastline in Texas and then goes up all the way into the Ohio Valley and to the Northeast. The only exception is portions of the Southeast, and much of Florida is really not getting into the action this morning, but most of you guys are, with a very cold morning. Let's take a look at the overall water vapor imagery, and you can actually see where that cold air mass extends all the way through with that very dry air filtering on the backside. But we're watching this system up here that's bringing some snow into portions of the Northeast where they've got some winter weather advisories and even a spot of winter storm warning in place, as we're going to be already picking up several inches of snow, and we're going to be adding to those totals as we go into the afternoon hours. But if you look way up here off into Alaska, off the Aleutian Islands, that is our development of our severe weather that's going to be taking shape as we get towards that Wednesday time frame coming up this week. So let's kind of highlight this snowstorm up here off the East Coast, where they do have these winter weather advisories in place for going up to portions of Roanoke. There's that winter storm warning into places into central Virginia here, up here into Baltimore and DC, into Harrisburg, back into Philly and New York City. Extends all the way into Boston. I mean, some of these areas have already picked up a good 1 to 3 inches of snow, and they've got additional snow totals that are going to be adding up as we go through the afternoon, because that snow continues to fly. I mean, some of these areas are going to be overachieving, and some isolated spots. I've actually seen some 5-inch reports already coming in. But yeah, we'll have the snow start to kind of wind down in places into Philly, into New York as we get into that noon time frame. Now that heavier or more moderate snow will be over portions of Rhode Island, getting along the Cape here. And I think a lot of these areas along the Cape are not going to be getting the 1 to 3. You're going to be more likely in the 4 to 6 range, if not isolated spots up to 8 inches of snow as this continues to snow into the afternoon hours. I think a lot of this snow kind of winds down as we get towards that Super Bowl time frame going on later on this afternoon. So, but now let's kind of highlight this feature off here in the Pacific Northwest, because that's going to be our system that's over the Aleutian Islands this morning, and that's going to be diving down here into the Pacific Northwest as a big trough is going to be developing. There's that other system off the northeast coast that's going to continue to lift out, and back behind it you got that warm surge. So a lot of the country is experiencing some freezing temperatures this morning, but that doesn't last long as the winds really start to shift and turn around. And as they do, that's a warm wind, and it's a rapid warm up. And then now we've got that trough that's going to be digging down in here in the Pacific Northwest, going into places into Vancouver, into places like in Seattle, into Portland area. Going to bring some showers where they have been really dry as of late, and then some snow into the higher elevations, and Washington extending into Idaho as you get into the day on that Monday, Valentine's Day time frame. And as we go through time, start getting into that Tuesday, going into that Wednesday morning time frame, this trough continues to dive southward and expands. And as it expands, it's got snow is going to be breaking out to its east up into Montana, going into Wyoming, portions of Utah here. Got some snow coming back into the Sierra Nevada, portions of Nevada, and some of these higher elevations up here down here into Arizona, where you still got the warm sector. This is basically, you know, fuel in the atmosphere for what's to come as this trough interacts with this warm sector. And as we get into that Wednesday night time frame, I think that's when we're going to be looking at some rounds of severe weather breaking out into portions of Texas. So as we go through time and look at that Wednesday afternoon time frame, out ahead of it, that's just showers. That's just regular showers. That's nothing severe as of yet, as this warm surge off the Gulf will be pulling in that warm Gulf moisture, wrapping into places into Dallas, Fort Worth, going into Oklahoma, into Kansas, where we've got that other low pressure system that's going to be diving in. So you got snow to its northwest. So snow is going to be breaking out into New Mexico, into Colorado, into Denver, and that continues to amplify and dig down further into the south as we go during the deeper in the day. But yeah, look at the high temperatures by the time we get into that Wednesday. Man, we got plenty of warm air to tap into with widespread 70s in much of Texas and Oklahoma and Louisiana and the southeast. I think it's going to be a rough 36 hours as we start getting really juiced up in the atmosphere by the time we get into that Wednesday night time frame. But back behind it, yeah, that's another cold front, guys. We've got another Arctic surge going to be plunging southward, and back behind it, temperatures are going to be rapidly getting cold in a big way. So we got a big, cold this morning, big warm up, and then a big splash as we go into that Friday morning time frame with more freezing temperatures. So yeah, let's take a look at this setup. So, we're going to have our initial low. So we have our initial low. That's not the low that's going to bring the severe weather. It's the parent low that's back behind it. So we should be getting a kind of a nasty squall line and going into an uncapped atmosphere into the Dallas-Fort Worth area with rounds of showers and thunderstorms. And some of these could be severe as we head into that Wednesday night, going into the overnight hours, into portions of Oklahoma, going into Dallas, and on the back side of that, that's the cold front. That's the cold front that's in, that was in Minnesota, like I showed you. That's going to be diving southward, bringing that cold air along with that cold core, and you could be seeing some snow breaking out in the Texas Panhandle, getting into the portions of the Oklahoma Panhandle. But out ahead of it, there's the warm sector. So that's when I think the initial stage of that rounds of severe weather start is around Wednesday night time frame. And the Storm Prediction Center is already highlighting this area into Austin, into Waco, into Dallas, going back into portions of Tulsa here, into Little Rock, heading into Shreveport. This area is going to be under the gun for that severe weather as we head into that Wednesday night time frame. So as we continue to expand and as this pushes east, I only think this really just starts to amplify and increase in intensity as that low-level jet really starts to tap into these warm Gulf waters, and these dew points are going to be well into the 60s, if not almost approaching 70 degrees. This is like a soup kitchen down here in the south. And this area, unfortunately, is going to be rotating. But on the backside, there's the cold sector. We had some surprise, snowflakes flying in Texas yesterday that had some flurries in Dallas, had all the way down to Austin. I think that probably might actually happen again. And with temperatures plenty warm, it's nothing accumulated or anything. But yeah, that could actually happen again on the backside of this system as we go through the day on Thursday time frame. Is definitely not out of the question, especially further north you live along the Red River into Oklahoma. But further south is probably flurries, but at least there's going to be flurries that could be flying out of the sky. But out ahead of it, yeah, that's the main system. I mean, we're going to be talking another round of that severe weather, and it just kind of ramps up in intensity as we go into that Thursday time frame, because there's going to be a lot of shear in the atmosphere. So you're going to be more prone to tornadoes as you get into that Louisiana sector, into Mississippi, into portions of Tennessee, even portions of Kentucky is definitely not out of the question, even portions of Missouri. It's questionable if that initial setup is going to be rotating enough within that cold sector, but I'm more or less really looking at damaging winds in and around the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But an isolated tornado threat is definitely not out of the question, but definitely a lot more capability of producing tornadoes and rotating supercell thunderstorms within this sector as we go to that Thursday time frame. And there's the Storm Prediction Center already highlighting that area into down into Louisiana, into Mississippi, and out of Alabama, and portions of Tennessee, extending into Arkansas. That is on your Thursday time frame. Of course, this is 5 days out from when I've recorded this video, so we'll fine-tune the timing as we get near. But right now, it's definitely looking about Wednesday night going into that probably Friday morning, about a 36-hour window of severe weather that it could be looking pretty bumpy down to the south. Because look, I mean, look at the tornado parameters are already hitting pretty high probabilities down here into Louisiana, getting back here into southern Mississippi and southern Alabama here. This is a 75% chance, higher probability of seeing some stronger type tornadoes within this sector. So it's definitely concerning that there's already indications that, yeah, we could be under the gun, be looking at a severe rotating supercell thunderstorms by then. So as we move into that Thursday afternoon time frame, yeah, that just extends into getting into portions of Georgia, and that will extend some of the heavier rain, if not actually flooding rain, because there's going to be a lot of water vapor. You got higher dew points, a lot of moisture in this atmosphere. So definitely concerned about severe weather to the south. And then you've got some flooding up here into the Tennessee Valley. And then to the north, you've got that heavier snow, more, portions of Missouri into Illinois into Indiana, and that extends northward as this low pressure system will continue to lift off into the northeast. And underneath that, yeah, you got some heavier winds going to be contending with as well, with those damaging winds of upwards to 40 miles an hour gusts is definitely not out of the question. Even higher gusts, and that's outside of thunderstorm activity. So it's going to be a very windy day as you go into that Wednesday night, Thursday time frame, extended into Friday for a good chunk of the central and eastern 2/3 of the country. And the SIPS guidance is already hinting that this continues to shift east, right? So like I mentioned, I think it originates in Dallas, this sector right here within portions of Oklahoma, as we get into that Wednesday night time frame, extends further off to the east, and this will extend going into possibly that Thursday night, overnight, Friday morning time frame. But there's about a 36-hour window. We could be extending it to Georgia, portions of the Carolinas, and portions of North Carolina, with that severe risk as it continues to extend. But it's moving pretty fast, because by the time we get into that Friday morning time frame, it's pretty much off the coast by then, as that low pressure system will be off the east coast. And then there's the cold air, right? We got the 1040 high Arctic high pressure. So it's almost like deja vu. We're cold this morning. We've got a rapid warm up, and then wham, we go right back down to basically where we started at this morning, as temperatures are plenty cold again, with widespread freezing temperatures extending all the way down into Oklahoma and Texas, getting back into Arkansas, getting back into the places that saw that severe weather. So it all ends on the cold side with that very cold blast is going to be shifting and impacting those areas by the time we get into that Friday morning time frame. So, and there's your precipitation. Like I mentioned, under that trough, there's only going to be a one-day hit. So you're going to be seeing some showers in and around portions of, off the coastline here of Washington and Oregon. But I'm not looking at like any significant type totals, because it's just a one-day hit. As this low will continue to push off, most of this will be in the form of snow, especially as you get into the Rocky Mountains and going back into Denver. But then it really starts to amplify as we head into North Texas, getting into portions of Oklahoma. This is the origination point. And then once we get down here into the Mississippi and Tennessee Valley, I think that's where we're going to be seeing some of those heavier rains. That 2 to 4 inch swath is definitely not out of the question once it interacts with that warm sector. And then to the north, a lot of this is going to be in the form of snow just northwest of that low that's going to be traversing across from west to east this week. So hey, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, and definitely leave your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, catch the latest update where I protect you for